Well, if you spend 8 hours a day in front of your devices, which sounds a lot, but it's pretty common these days. If you spend only 3 hours a day in front of your device, not 8 hours, I think the number is about 72% of people will suffer from some sort of digital eye strain. If you spend more than 5 hours, that number goes up to about 99%. That was from some of the studies. I have 9-year-old patients getting dry eyes. It's ridiculous as that sounds. So we have seen younger adults having some pigmentary changes in their macular area, which is very, very unusual 20, 25 years ago. If you're a programmer or someone who's so, their lifestyle is so screen heavy, then at least 1 bottle a day is ideal. One of my test subject, he's a day trader. He's on 5 different monitors every day. We saw a huge spike in his macular pigmentation score.
Welcome to the Etheria TechCast, where we bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Today, we are joined by Dr. Roger Wu, a board certified optometrist with over 25 years of clinical experience, who is tackling the modern epidemic of digital eye strain head on. Seeing firsthand how screens were damaging his patients' vision, he moved beyond traditional advice and invented the eye drink, a science-backed, ready-to-drink beverage formulated with nutrients to protect and enhance eye health. Through clinical pilots, studies, and innovative product design, Dr. Wu is merging optometry with nutritional science to offer a practical solutions for our screen-heavy world. So, Dr. Wu, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Ezekiel, for inviting me, having me here today.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. So, you've been an optometrist for over 25 years. So, tell us, what was the pivotal clinical observation in your practice that made you realize traditional advice wasn't enough for today's screen-heavy lifestyle?
Yeah, well, I've been in the eye care industry long enough to see there's definitely basically a transition from more of a, basically a paper, desktop, computer kind of a setting into this more of a mobile device setting these days. So everyone's using their smartphone and iPad these days. A lot of mobile device. So basically, essentially, you're holding onto a computer in your hand. So the screen time, of course, basically just exponentially increased for the last 10, 15 years, 20 years, if you want to go that far. 20, 25 years ago, for example, if I see someone 40 and younger having dry eyes, back then, one of the first things that we did was order some blood test because there's got to be something, inflammatory within their system causing their eyes to be so dry at such a young age. Nowadays, if I have to order a blood test, I probably have to order, I don't know, 40, 50 blood tests every single week just to deal with these dry eyes, just because, everyone's, nowadays it's so common. People are getting, suffering from dry eye issues. And primarily is the screen time or the, excessive amount of screen time that people are facing these days. The ages are getting younger and younger. I have, 9-year-old patients getting dry eyes. It's ridiculous as that sounds. And we also have, in addition to the dry eyes, which is, dry eye is one of the hottest topics in the eye care industry. Also, there's other things such as macular changes. Macular is which is the very central part of the retina that basically control our, basically detailed visions. So we have seen younger adults having some pigmentary changes in their macular area, which is very, very unusual 20, 25 years ago. But we're seeing more of those issues now. So, out of frustration, I decided to, basically, take on this task of developing a beverage, because every good advices or instruction I gave to all my patients pretty much fell on deaf ears. People just didn't kind of ignore it. Pretty much, they just think, whatever. My eyes are dry, so what's the big deal? But they have no idea of the issue that could potentially cause by the dry eyes. So it's a very interesting journey going from eye care industry into the beverage industry. And after 2 years of working on the products, and we have finally have the product ready to go. The official launch is actually next week in Las Vegas. We have a big trade show coming
Wow.
up in Vegas. Yeah. So before that, we just did a soft launch since April. Um, to kind of fine tune our final formulation, our marketing pitch, things like this. So that's pretty much my journey going from eye care industry, from seeing patients, from how we basically um, revolve. I mean, you can say the revolution coming from the older day to nowadays, the very screen heavy lifestyle that we have right now. So I think it's the best product right now. The product is called the eye drink. Very, very delicious. Patients loved it. Kids loved it. Okay, and we have the clinical data to back up the efficacy of the product. So that's another very important things. All the ingredients that we put into the beverage has been scientifically studies. You can buy. I'm not sure about Nigeria or other parts of the country, but there's a very, very almost like a gold standard vitamin in the eye care industry. It's called ARES2, AREDS, and number two. Okay, ARES2 vitamins. Um, our beverage is formulated based on the ARES2 formulations, and on top of that, we added the omega-3, essential fatty oil to minimize dry eye. So basically, we're killing two issues with one stone, so to speak. So that's why I have.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's really interesting. So, can we talk more about the science? So, for our STEM audience, can you explain the biochemistry behind why the eye drink is so crucial for protecting against blue light damage at a cellular level?
Okay. If we go back, you know, 10, 15 years ago, okay, when people are, there's actually huge net international study about, what kind of a vitamins is good for the eyes. And we know, I mean, that's before the ARAS2 came out. The first study actually is just ARAD, AREDS. Okay. So we know there's some key ingredients that can protect the eyes from, macular degenerations. And one of the tests that we did to measure the efficacy of the vitamin is to measure the pigmentation, at the cellular level, at the macular areas, and it's called MPOD, MPODS. Okay, MPOD score. That stands for macular pigment optical density scores. The higher the score, the healthier your macula is. And throughout, last 10, 15 years, we have noticed that people who spend a lot of time on their screen, in front of their devices, being exposed to the blue light, your macular pigmentation density will start to drop. Okay. Uh, 10, 15 years ago, the standard, okay, for the MPOS score is to have 0.50 or above. That means that you're considering the relatively safe range of the MPOS score range. A few years ago, I'm not sure who decided to uh, lower that standard. So now the new standard is 0.40. To me, that's like a joke, okay? Because once you lower the standard from 0.50 to 4.40, essentially you're lowering the standard to make a lot more people happier. Okay, they feel that they give people a false sense of security that their eyes are okay. So, for example, 10 years ago, if you have an MPOS score of 0.45, you were considered at risk of getting macular issues. But nowadays, you're okay. So somehow someone lowered the standard from 0.50 to 0.40. My goal is to bring everybody's score back to above 0.50. And you can take vitamin, you can take ARAS2 vitamin, eat a lot of kale, a lot of spinach. Potentially, you can increase your score as well and minimize on your, basically you cut down on your screen time. That one is probably easier said than done. Developing a product that's easy to, that's very convenient, very tasty, and then that's accepted by most people out there. That's the initial goal that we had or I had. So that's why we came up with this beverage to make sure that the nutrient has been proven by multiple international studies. If you can just look up ARES2 studies, there are so many out there. So it's proven ingredients. I don't need to go do another 10-year study to find out whether the ingredient work or not because we already have the data in the eye care industry. So the formulation is based on that. On top of that, from our pilot studies, um, we noticed that because we knew that the bioavailability in a liquid is far superior than the capsules. So instead of taking popping capsules, 2 capsules every day for 6 months, for a year or 2 years to see the little improvements, by drinking the juice with the ARAS2 ingredient in there, we see a much faster improvement in this much shorter period of time. So within 90 days, I believe it was 42 out of 45 testers that we have show improvements. Yeah, there's only two younger kids. Their scores kind of remain the same, and they claim they've been complying with the drinking the eye drink. I'm not sure how, whether they, young kids, they're compliant or not. But we have a tremendous numbers on the data to back up our efficacy and our superior bioavailability. So there you have it. Mhm.
Hmm. That is indeed a fascinating metrics. Can you walk us through the product development process? So how did you go from that clinical insights to formulating a stable, effective, and actually enjoyable beverage?
Yeah. We've been Most doctors have been recommending ARAS2 vitamin, for the past 10 years or so, ever since it got approved, maybe slightly more than 10 years, by 14, 15 years now. The compliance rate has been horrible. Okay, I'm not sure about other doctors, but at least in my office, I would say less than 5% of the people actually take those vitamins religiously. Okay, so we know the compliance rate is horrible, number one. And number two, sometimes got this, especially for kids, a lot, or young, not kids, but younger people, they just don't like to swallow pills. Some people complain they have difficulty swallowing it, but they have no issue drinking a juice. So that's why I decided to make it a juice format. Uh, and we did a little search throughout throughout the world. We couldn't find anything in the juice format. There's no beverage ARAS2 vitamins available. So we decided to do this. Earlier day has been very, very challenging because we were interviewing, or we were being interviewed by a lot of labs, formulation, beverage formulation labs. Some people either thought I was crazy. Okay, they thought there's a reason that people didn't want to put certain vitamin. They don't want to put omega-3 in there. They didn't want to put zinc, copper into the beverage, because if you were an eye doctor, you knew about the ingredients. The first reaction, most doctors, when I brought that up, say I have this ARAS2 based formula, beverage. Most doctor first reaction was, "Oh, are you sure that's even drinkable?" Because they knew the ingredients. They kind of expect that it would taste really nasty. So a lot of labs, same thing. A lot of formulation lab, they either thought I was crazy, or they charge a very, very high fee upfront, almost like a retainer fee, before they were willing to work with me. Because almost like a retainer, having a retainer with attorney, same thing. So I didn't want this open-ended contract with those labs. Obviously, they didn't want to work with somebody. The idea sounds pretty okay, but if they ended up spending 2 years, then they would end up losing money. So they want to have an open-ended contract. So it was very, very frustrating interviewing with the labs. Finally, we found someone. The owner was either nice enough or crazy enough to work with me, and we decided to work together. And after multiple, oh my God, countless formulations, multiple prototype samples, we came up with the first flavors. So that was definitely a very interesting journey, to say the least. And that's where we are. And also, when it comes to looking for a manufacturer in the beverage space, they call it the co-packer. Shopping for a co-packer, that was another issue. Most co-packers don't like to work with startup companies. They want to work with a bigger company with a large commitment to produce the beverages. So that was took me about 2 to 3 months to finally find somebody willing to work with me. It's just almost like one obstacle after another, but we slowly and surely overcame every single one of them. So right now we're ready to finally launch the product to a larger scale next week.
Fantastic. So, what was the biggest scientific or technical challenge that you faced in creating a stable delivery system for these sensitive nutrients?
Well, some of those are trade secret. I'm not going to disclose that right here. I think one of the biggest challenge is actually incorporate omega-3 into the beverage because omega-3, a lot of people say, oh, fish oil, but it's not from fish, by the way. Our omega-3 is derived from algae, and it's I specifically asked for the triglyceride form omega-3 because they can actually enhance our GI absorption. We can absorb more. Looking for that supplier was very, very challenging because most most plant-based algae or algae-based omega-3 are not triglyceride form omega-3, which is inferior to me, was inferior type of omega-3. So that took a while, and including because omega-3 it's a basically it's a fatty, it's a lipid-based ingredients. So to incorporate a lipid-based ingredient into a juice, that was another challenge too. So we had to find the right ingredient to incorporate those two, to bind those two together. And then when it comes to production, there's another challenge. And then we actually have, figure out a way to do it. It's all a lot of experiment here and there. And I was so thankful that my current co-packers was willing to work with me. Um, that's why. But exactly how we did it, I can't disclose that right now.
Yeah, sure, sure. So,
And,
for the engineers and developers listening, what does the patent landscape look like for a product like this? And what aspect of the iDrink is truly novel from an IP perspective?
We didn't apply any IP, okay, because my patent attorney advised me against it because once we apply for any patents, we have to disclose the key ingredients, how we
Hmm.
manufacture. So he just said, just like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola never had IP. Okay, they kept it as a key, trade secret. So we plan on doing that. So that's why no IP was even applied for, at least not for this project. I own a lot of patents for other things, but this one we didn't apply anything. Um, and then obviously the ingredient itself, some of them were pretty unique. No one had ever used those ingredients into the beverage, and we're actually the first to do it. Um, and as far and we did a pretty extensive research or search on the product. We couldn't find anything even come close to what we have in the world. So we're the first one, ARES2 beverage, and then with the omega-3 there, and it's obviously ready to drink because most consumers these days, they want instant gratification. They want something they can just open it and start drinking it rather than popping vitamin or start mixing powder with things like this. They don't want to do all the extra work to to basically obtain that same ingredients that we have. So ours is very easy. Just shake it, open it, start drinking it. You can drink it like, I'm not sure about Nigeria, but right here, like a Gatorade. There, we use a internally we call this the Gatorade for the eyes. Okay, so same thing. This product. I foresee this product as the go-to product right now in the future. Let's say in your case, if you spend hours in front of a computer and your eyes start getting sore, start getting dry, getting fatigued, you just go to your fridge, shake a bottle, open it, start drinking it, and that's what I see. So that's what I believe the product can benefit billion, not million, but billions of people worldwide.
Wow, that's very interesting. So, how did you approach the challenge of balancing clinical efficacy with customer taste and appeal? So, was there really a trade-off?
Well, I got so that's why I work about 6.5 days a week, pretty much, kind of
Wow.
workaholic. Yeah, I see patients. I have two practices. I see patients myself 4 days a week, and the rest of the time just doing this project. This is not my first startup. I have another startup before. It's a basically it's a software slash hardware device. They also monitor digital eye strain or minimize digital eye strain and childhood myopia. So I'm kind of not the rookie in the startup landscape, but that's why I kind of understand what it took to build a company. So I'm used to it. Being a workaholic, I was lucky that my parents raised me right. So you know, that if I set my mind to do something, I would make sure that it's done, and then I just keep working on it. And I don't need many hours of sleep. I sleep about 4 or 5 hours a day, pretty much. But I'm glad that the product is definitely finally ready to launch in the week. Actually, a week from today, by the way. So
Wow.
yeah. So I'm not sure when you'll air this podcast. So it's actually September 18th. There will be our
Oh,
launch day.
yeah,
Yeah,
it would have launched before the episode will get published.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's
that's I try to squeeze a meeting in between patients during my lunchtime. If I have to, have a meeting with my team, sometimes we do it right after lunch, or even late, during evening hours. I do that all the time, or early in the morning. Yeah. So it depends on the location of the team. Some people, we have members from the west, East Coast. I'm sorry, I'm in Los Angeles, so there's a 3 hour time difference. So if I had to, get up and have a meeting 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm totally okay with that. Mhm.
that's great. From a nutritional science perspective, why is a drink a more effective delivery mechanism for these particular nutrients rather than pills or capsules for eye health?
Yeah. Well, you got to realize the capsule was encapsulated. So when
Yeah.
you swallow that, our GI has to dissolve the outer capsules, and then the acid within our gastric system also destroy a lot of it takes time, and then the gastric in the system also will destroy part of the key ingredient that protects the eyes. Whereas when you drink something, the ingredients are already there, and then the absorption is much faster. It goes down all the way to your intestine, large intestine, small intestine, all the nutrition. That's why the absorption is a lot more efficient compared to a capsules. And that's actually a known fact. Like if you just Google it, search it, everyone will tell you the liquid format is far more superior when it comes to bioavailability. Yeah. So it's not something that we invented. Yeah, just no one has successfully, or either they try, or they just never had this idea of converting, making the ARAS2 vitamin into a beverage formats. And luckily, we're the first one to successfully make that happen. And also, the main thing is to make it drinkable. Yeah, the first 25 different prototypes are they were just horrendous. Okay, um, both my kids, I have two sons. They were tester number one, tester number two. Every time when we have a new prototype, new samples, and after about 7, 8 different tries, my older one just said, "Dad, stop bringing those back to me. I'd rather go blind. I'd rather go blind than drinking those." That's how horrible that is. So just like when I first approached these final, more like a final, almost like a final samples. One of my friend, he's a retinal specialist. So when he opened the bottle, he smelled it first because he's not quite sure, because everyone knew what the ingredients is in there, ARAS2, and just by knowing that it's ARAS2 based in drink, most people, most eye doctors would expect this to, number one, smell really, really bad, and number two, it's going to taste horrible like gasoline.
Oh,
Which the
wow.
first 10, I
Wow.
mean, 12,
Gasoline.
15, yeah, it was really bad. It's almost undrinkable. It's extremely healthy, I can tell you that, but it's just not drinkable. So I don't think people will even buy it. Yeah. So we have to tweak it a little bit. We add a little sugar there. Unfortunately, very, very minimal sugar, only 5 grams of sugar that was added. But that was something that I had to settle, because initially, from the very, very early beginnings, that I refused to put any sugar there. And the lab and I were just butting heads pretty much. They uh, they insist on adding sugar, otherwise they're wasting I'm wasting their time and efforts, because every sample came out just horrendous. So finally, I decided to kind of surrender and say, okay, let's put a little sugar there. They want to put more there, but I kind of refused it. So we only ended up just 5 grams of sugar, and all the juices that we put in, whether it's strawberry, the mango that's coming up, everything, we use a real fruit. We don't use the artificial fruit flavors to do it, and we don't use the artificial flavoring, not the artificial sweeteners there. So it's something that I drink it myself. I drink one at least one every day. My kids drink them, every day. So I, definitely insist on putting the correct ingredients.
So, for our audience who spends 8+ hours daily on screens, what's one simple, immediate habit that they can adopt to reduce digital eye strain based on your clinical experience?
Well, if you spend 8 hours a day in front of your devices, which is a lot of, I mean, sounds a lot, but it's pretty common these days, by the way.
Yeah.
There are a lot of study coming out, a lot of survey coming out. If you're looking at digital eye strain, if you spend only 3 hours, okay, 3 hours a day in front of your device, not 8 hours, 3 hours, I think the number is about 72% of people will suffer from some sort of digital eye strain. If you spend more than 5 hours, that number goes up to about 99%. That was from some of the studies. NIH, okay, National Institute of Health, that's a department in the U.S. NIH, they put that number around 80%, I believe so. Okay, if you spend 5 hours or more, 80% of people will suffer from some sort of symptoms of digital eye strain. Dry eyes, fatigue, things like this, headaches, shoulder pains. So if you spend 8 hours, chances are you have some of those issues, and a lot of people just ignore it. Okay, whether your eyes, your vision fluctuates, sometimes there's an early sign of dry eyes. People kind of just ignore it. So you don't want to wait until those problems become so bad before you start seeking help. So right now, my goal is to, let's say, if you spend 2 hours or more on your devices, whether it's a cell phone or computer, what have you, you should consider drinking the eye drink. You don't have to necessarily drink one bottle every day like I do, but at least 3 to 4 bottles a week. I think that's reasonable if you spend only 2-3 hours a day on your devices. But if you're a programmer or someone who's so, their lifestyle is so screen heavy, then at least one bottles a day is ideal. One of my test subject out of those 44 people that I recruited, he's a day trader. He's on 5 different monitors, okay, every day, and
Mm.
easily 8 hours a day. And he drink between 2 to 2.5 bottles, 2 to 3 bottles. That's what he said. 2 to 3 bottles a day. And then we saw his, macular pigmentation score. I mean, for someone who's in the late 70, you're not supposed to see that kind of improvement in 90 days. But in his case, we saw a huge spike in his macular pigmentation score. And initially, I thought that's impossible. Okay, this is too good to be true. So we repeat the test. Yep, it was definitely repeatable. That we showed that he shows a huge improvement in his macular pigmentation, and he ended up
Mm.
buying 180 bottles right there, right after we conclude the 90-day studies. Yeah. So
Wow.
we also, and then we also have bankers. She's got, basically chronic dry eye problem because she's on her computer all the time. She's been seeing me for 10, 15 years. Um, she started drinking the eye drink. She's one of the, testers that we recruited. She started drinking, the eye drink, 1 to 2 bottles. Is primarily toward the afternoon after lunch. She started drinking it, and she told me that within a week, her eye feel a lot less sore, a lot less dry toward the end of the day. So that was the fastest one when it comes to dry eye symptom alleviations. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds indeed impressive.
Mhm.
So, tell us, Dr. Roger, what has been the most rewarding part of transitioning from clinician to inventor and entrepreneur?
The most rewarding moment I would say was actually at the factory at the co-packer. Believe it or not, after all hard work, 2.5 years, and I personally went to the factory, saw the first bottle being produced. That was extremely rewarding because there's so many naysayers saying that this could not be done. It's impossible. It's going to taste like crap. It's going to taste like gasoline. No one will buy it. And for me to kind of screen out those noise, okay, and continue to develop the product and have the product ready to make, find the right ingredients, the right suppliers, and then actually go into the factory. The factory, by the way, in 30 some years, they had never seen a doctor walk into the factory with the product. So I'm the first one in their factory's histories. Yeah. So and to kind of prove those naysayer wrong, having that see the first bottle coming out of production, that was extremely rewarding. And also that was I was that's the most rewarding moment. The second one is probably patients start when we did a soft launch in April, early April of this year, and people start trying it. And then the first group of people came back 90 days later. We start collecting the first batch of data, and we saw the actual improvement. That was also very rewarding, but definitely not as good as not as satisfying as right at the factory. That moment, coming out my product, coming out of production, the first bottles, that was just amazing. Yeah, it's something that I'll never forget.
Okay, part of the theme of this podcast is centered around innovation, Dr. Roger. So, for that reason, there's a common question I like to ask every guest that I interview on this podcast. So, tell us, what does innovation mean to you, and how does it relate to your work and your field in the context of healthcare and customer wellness products?
Okay. To me, innovation doesn't have to be something completely new. It could be just like the eye drink. I basically transform something that's not exactly consumer friendly. A pill you have to swallow every day, and convert that into a consumer friendly product, consumer friendly format, easy to use, and then take basically obviously very delicious. To me, that was also an invention or innovation as well. I think if you look around you, there's so many things that people maybe just took it for granted. We do things a certain way. We thought that that's how that was the best way to do it. But if you sometimes sit down and think about it, maybe you could figure out a better way to do it. Um, for example, let me give you an example. Like the doorknob. People are so used to the current format of the doorknob, but it's sometimes not exactly the most user-friendly design. So there's just some of those things, and also there's a couple of things. There's so many things around you that you can always figure out a way to improve it. So a huge improvement, that's basically deviate from the original form. As long as it's a good improvement, I think this is the innovations. So obviously in the eye care industry and in medicine, there's so many innovations that we're seeing every day right now. But we're still, when it comes to this type of vitamin format, no one had ever done it in a liquid format, ready to drink. I mean, there is a concentrate that you can drink from it, but it's not even ARAS2. I'm not sure what happened to that company, but it just never took off. But their ingredients are not exactly ARAS2 ingredient. They have some ingredients that's ARAS2 formulation. I'm not sure why they didn't do it. Maybe it was taste so bad they decided not to. People just wouldn't buy it. Maybe that was the reason. But to me, it was innovation. Is something that as long as you keep looking for a solution there, you can call that an innovation. As long as the solution is better than the current form.
Amazing, amazing. So, finally, where can our listeners go learn more about the eye drink and try it out for themselves?
Yeah. Right now it's only available in the U.S. Okay. We sell it directly from our website. It's called theidrink.com. www.theidrink. theidrink.com. We have buyers from India trying to purchase that. I'm not sure how that went. If you have friends in the US, if you can, let's say if you decided to purchase in your home country and then you couldn't do it, and then if you decided to, if you have friends here in the States, you can ask your friend to place an order for you. We ship directly to your friend or your family's house, and they can ship, to you. That's one way of doing it. We have a buyer from Canada. I think we'll be in Canada pretty soon, but not right now. We have buyer from Canada, and they decided to ship the product to Michigan, and really close. So I'm not sure how they did it. They shipped it to Michigan, and maybe they drove down to Michigan and to pick up the eye drink. So that's what we have at this time. But ultimately, I like to make this product readily available to anybody throughout the world, because everyone's on computers these days or cell phone these days. So like I said, billions of people can benefit from this product for sure.
Oh, that's wonderful, wonderful, Dr. Roger. It's been a really great conversation with you, and I am totally excited to have you on the show today.
All right, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me here.